alaikum and a warm welcome to each one of you who has joined us today to witness one of its kind of an event happening. What started as a tiny idea has transformed into a global event. Yes, Callithon 2020, an event which celebrates, honors, and appreciates art of calligraphy globally. I am Safia Zainab, your host for today's event, Callithon 2020. This is a much awaited day in our lives as it gives us the returns of the efforts put in by our team and our participants throughout these 2 months. It gives us a sense of achievement and also a sense of responsibility towards the upcoming commitments. At the very outset, I, on behalf of Team Spacewell, would like to extend a warm thank you to our sponsors, the Prestige Group, being our title sponsor, Rehbar Financial Consultants, being the platinum sponsor, Silverline Realty, Monarch Hotels, Humane Touch, Arius Holidays, My Khalam, the Cognet as our media partner, and Collabdeen from Singapore as our technology partner. Alhamdulillah. Today's event recognizes extraordinary talent and commitment demonstrated by all participants of Callithon. Also, we will be celebrating our unsung heroes who stand today as torch bearers of excellence. Today's event recognizes extraordinary talent and commitment demonstrated by all participants of Callithon. Also, we will be celebrating our unsung heroes who stand today as torch bearers of excellence in calligraphy as they take Callithon to new heights. This will be followed by display of exclusive artwork of the top 5 entries in the beginners, intermediate, and the professional categories. Let's begin this auspicious event by invoking the blessings of the Almighty who has opened ways and made things easy for this event to be made possible.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اقرأ باسم ربك الذي خلق خلق الإنسان من علق اقرأ وربك الأكرم الذي علم بالقلم علم الإنسان ما لم يعلم كلا إن الإنسان ليطغى أن رآه استغنى إن إلى ربك الرجعى أرأيت الذي ينهى عبدا إذا صلى أرأيت إن كان على الهدى أو أمر بالتقوى أرأيت إن كذب وتولى ألم يعلم بأن الله يرى كلا لئن لم ينته لنسفعا بالناصية ناصية كاذبة خاطئة فليدع ناديه سندع الزبانية كلا لا تطعه واسجد واقترب.
I would now like to request Ms. Rabia Kulsum, the co-founder of Spacewell, to walk us through the vision and mission of Callithon. Over to you, Rabia.
Assalamu alaikum and a warm welcome to all our virtual viewers. I'm Rabia Kulsum, the co-founder of Spacewell. So today, before we start the program, let me quickly run you through what exactly is Callithon. Callithon 2020. When we started Callithon, it was a very tiny idea. The main motive behind starting Callithon was to bring the calligraphers and all the art lovers from across the realm onto a single platform. Callithon is an annual calligraphy competition and a creative design expo on digital platform by Spacewell Foundation. Our main idea behind this was to motivate the creative people through the masters of this field of calligraphy. Let me introduce the team behind Callithon. We have Ikram Ahmad Khan as the founder. Then there's myself, Rabia Kulsum, as the co-founder. We have Tazayun Umar as our mentor, who's also the founder of Human Touch and NGO. Then we have Mahin Khan and Mohammad Rona Khan into the team of digital marketing. Next, let me just give you a small highlight of Callithon 2020. We had 3 categories, namely beginner, intermediate, and professionals. We have 700 registered participants from across 21 countries. It was truly a global voyage, I must say. And there are 7 influencers, including judges and speakers from different countries. Next, we have a prize amount of about $1,500 to be distributed and awarded to our participants. That's it from my side. Now I would request Ms. Safia to take over from here. Thank you.
Thank you, Rabia, for giving us an insight of Callithon 2020. I would now request Ms. Nuria Garcia Masip to enlighten us about the richness of the various styles of Arabic calligraphy. Ms. Nuria holds a master's in art history from the Sorbonne University. She received her ijaza in Toulouse and Nashq in the year 2007. She has won prestigious awards in international calligraphy competitions, and her work forms part of various private and museum collections. She has organized numerous workshops and conferences to promote the art of calligraphy on a global platform. Her work is firmly rooted in the classical school of calligraphy, and she enjoys preserving the techniques as materials of the tradition. Ms. Nuria is currently residing in Paris, where she teaches, researches, and works on calligraphy. Over to you, Ms. Nuria.
Assalamu alaikum. Very happy to be with everyone today. I would like to first thank the team of Callithon for organizing this global event. And once again, thank you for all your efforts on promoting the art of calligraphy and the practice of calligraphy all over the world. Thank you again. So today I would like to give a small introduction into the art of calligraphy. I have a PowerPoint which I'm going to share. Just bear with me for 1 second. All right, so introducing the art of calligraphy is quite complicated since it's an extremely vast subject. We have calligraphy is practiced in different parts of the world as Islam expanded from one continent to another during 13th centuries. So it's very difficult to let's say condense everything that has happened throughout history into 20 minutes presentation or half an hour. So what I'm going to do is just give you a brief overview of the history of calligraphy, so then you can at least have an idea of the main groups of styles that we practice in Islamic calligraphy, and the way calligraphy is transmitted and practiced today. So when we look at a piece of calligraphy, it's very important to realize that the form, of course, you have the text, which carries meaning, but it's the form that also carries meaning. So being able to unravel these different layers of meaning will give you a lot of information about a piece, which goes far beyond the text, and it can enrich the text as well. So I would like to start with the very earliest examples we have of the art of calligraphy before the Kufic scripts, which everyone is probably familiar with, and I'm going to touch on. We have the first examples are what we call it's a male script. It's an Hijazi script, and this is what the earliest Qurans were written in this script. And of course, we cannot say that this is per se a calligraphy style, but we already have the elements which would then become codified into a more elegant Kufic script. So this is one of the earliest Qurans. It's from the 8th century and it's held at the British Library. And we have different folios and different parts of these Qurans in different places in the world right now. Amongst the earliest Kufic styles, we have, I'm showing you actually examples which are on paper. Of course, there's a lot of examples which were applied onto architecture, onto stone, etc. But as calligraphers, what we work directly on is paper or parchment, of course, at the beginning. So this gives you a very good idea of the actual stroke of the calligrapher's pen. And if you can see, these early styles are very angular. The way to recognize any Kufic style is because you have very clear horizontal lines and vertical lines. And the kalam, which is the tool that we use to write with as calligraphers, shows very small nuance. It's held in a very, with very, let's say, clear movements upwards or sideways rather than tilting or twisting. So this is a bit technical, but these are just some keys that will allow you to recognize the Kufic style. So there is a common misconception that Kufic comes from the city of Kufa in Iraq because it was developed there. But in fact, Kufic is used to designate all the styles that are written in this way, with a clear vertical, horizontal, and quite angular aesthetic. And there were many variations of these Kufic styles. We just call them Kufic, but in the early sources, we have mentions of over 10 different Kufic styles already in the 10th century. However, and they had different names by city names. However, these names are now, we don't know exactly which style corresponded to which city or to which aesthetic. So we just use this common name. They have been classified by Western researchers into Kufic A, Kufic B, Kufic C, but it's extremely varied. We have very early on, already in the 9th century, you see already we start having this aesthetic of elongating letters. It's a very minimalistic style. And Anna Maria Schimmel mentions, and if you are not familiar with her work, I strongly recommend it to everyone. It's called The Art of Islamic Calligraphy. And she mentions that these Qurans, if you are an Arabic speaker, it's difficult to read for anyone, because at this point in the early Qurans, you don't have the vowel system, you don't have the noktas to differentiate between certain consonants. So in effect, these Qurans were written as an aide-mémoire, as an aid to memorize the Quran, or they were written tabarukan, meaning for the barakah of writing the Quran. And this is the very famous Blue Quran, which was perhaps written in Cairo. And there's a big debate about this Quran, or perhaps written closer to Baghdad, because it's gold on blue parchment, and the researchers think that this was inspired by the Byzantine documents, which were also written gold on blue. And it's one of the most beautiful Qurans, which is now dispersed in different collections across the world. Again, another example of Kufic, of a Kufic style, and you see again the beautiful variety and the beautiful minimalistic strokes, which are extremely powerful, and already you see a very clear sense of layout on the page. And to finish off with the Kufic, because it's an extremely large category, but I wanted to just give you an idea. As time progressed, Kufic developed in different ways. And we have the very famous Makili Kufic, which is on the left. And this is used a lot for architecture. Again, as I mentioned, I'm showing you examples on paper, but of course, calligraphy was applied onto almost every surface imaginable. We have it on textile, we have it on architecture, we have it on objects. And this is the Makili Kufic was very useful for architecture, especially for brick designs. And we have many, many examples all across Central Asia, especially, but all over the Islamic world. Then we have variations of Kufic, which start becoming much more vertical and start introducing curves, more exaggerated curves. So you see the Kufic style from the Maghreb, from the 10th century. In the middle, we start having these large curves. And on the right, we have the very beautiful, what is known as the Oriental Kufic style, which was developed in Central Asia. And there you see, again, this extremely elongated vertical lines. We have diagonals, and we also have this very decorative, well, we can say the lam alif, you see this two strokes which come in a loop. So again, I'm not going to show you all examples of Kufic, but this gives you an idea of how large the Kufic spectrum is. And again, in order to differentiate, you want to look for this vertical line and the clear horizontal. So parallel to the development of Kufic, which starts from the very earliest days of Islam to up to today, let's say, we have in the 10th century, we had what we call a shorthand cursive script, which was used for everyday writing. And this was used, for taking notes, for writing letters, for the chancellery. And in the 10th century, all these styles, which coexisted in a sort of a bit of a free, more spontaneous form, they start to become codified. And you have probably heard of the very famous Ibn Muqla, who created what is known as the Khat al-Mansub, or the well-proportioned script. So what Ibn Muqla did, he didn't invent these, we can call them cursive scripts or curvilinear scripts, and he did not invent them. He just decided to systematize them and codify them into a system of proportion. So this system of proportion initially he used the circle in order to determine a relationship between all the letters in relation to a circle, which was determined by the nokta. The nokta is the point that is made by the kalam, the reed pen, on the paper. So the width of any kalam that you are using is going to give you a dot, a nokta, and that nokta is going to give you the measurement for all the letters. This system does not exist in the Kufic family of scripts. So this is very particular to this classical Khat al-Mansub. And you see a very beautiful interpretation of the Ibn Mukla's principles on the right by Ahmed Faris. He's a wonderful calligrapher, Egyptian, who did this very beautiful piece inspired on the Risala of Ibn Mukla and the system of proportions of the letters. And again, if you can see the square dots, these are the measurements for every letter. So the earliest, so what happened after Ibn Mukla is that once these scripts were codified, they started to be used to write the Quran. And the earliest Quran that we know of, written in one of these curvilinear scripts, is the very famous Quran by Ibn al-Bawwab, beginning of the 11th century, in the very, very beautiful Rehani style. And this is kept in Dublin at the Chester Beatty. So Ibn Bawwab actually studied with the daughter of Ibn Mukla. And so in the silsila, in the chain of transmission of calligraphers, which traditionally we say that it goes back to Sayyidina Ali, the very famous figures for the calligraphy community are, of course, Ibn Mukla, then Ibn Bawwab, and then we have the great Yaqut al-Mustasimi, which comes later on. And here is a Quran by Yaqut al-Mustasimi. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but this is another of the great pillars of the art of calligraphy, who basically already by his time, anything that he wrote was preciously kept and recorded. And there are actually many false Yaqub al-Mustasimi, because he wrote so beautifully that many of his students and many other calligraphers would imitate his writing and use his signature and so on as a way to honor his mastery. Again, this is another piece by Yaqut al-Mustasimi in the Thuluth script. And these styles, these well-proportioned styles, sorry, let me just go back. They developed into 6 different styles, which we call them Aklam al-Sita, which were namely Thuluth Nasir. And I'm going to say them in pairs because they were usually written together. Muhakkak, Rehani, and Tawqi and Rika. But there were many other styles which would be developed later, also using the system of the nokta. So when we talk about the group of classical styles, we are referring to all these curvilinear styles which were codified according to this very specific system of measurement proportion. And one of the styles that were developed later in the 16th century is the very beautiful Nastaliq style, which you have a lot in India because of the Mughal school. And this style, which is extremely different from the other ones you just saw, is characterized by very short verticals and much longer extended horizontal letters. So this is a very beautiful chalipa by Mirimat al-Hassani, who was from Qazvin, and this is already 16th century, and this created another school, which is the Persian school, which of course extended through Central Asia and into India and elsewhere as well, then also into the Ottoman school later on. So to sum up on these styles that I've just spoken to you about, this is a piece by Hamed Al-Amedi, who was one of the great calligraphers from the 20th century in Istanbul from the Ottoman school. And this is a piece which shows you a little bit the different styles. So we start with Kufic on top, which is, again, a different variation of the Kufic I showed you. I showed you the older examples. This is more of a Fatimid Kufic. Then we have Thuluth, and when we say Jali Thuluth or Jalil Thuluth, that means large Thuluth, written with a large kalam. Then we have Nasr, we have Muhakkak, we have smaller Thuluth, we have Tawqi, we have Rika, we have Nastalik, and then we have the other styles were developed in the Ottoman time to write the chancellery or to write the legal edicts. And unfortunately, we don't have time to go on to all the styles, but I wanted to show you just a small example here, the Diwani and the Jali Diwani, which initially, as I said, they were only written for legal purposes, but now it is used, it's very decorative, and it's used for writing pieces, final pieces with religious texts or people's names. I mean, it really has the full range of uses. Then we have the Rika, which is used for, it was also used mainly to write Ottoman Turkish, but now it's used to write multiple languages. And the Ijazah script at the end, which, as the name indicates, was used to sign the Ijazah or the calligraphy certificate of the students. So these are the two, let's say, big, very well-known families of calligraphic styles, which is the Kufic family and then the classical calligraphy styles. But we have other styles, which sometimes it's difficult for researchers to categorize, which is the styles that developed in the frontier regions of the Islamic world. So we have, for example, the very particular and very beautiful Maghrebi style, which developed in the whole region of North Africa and Muslim Spain. And we have an incredible amount of examples of Qurans and examples on architecture that were written in this style. In Morocco, this style continues to be practiced today very widely. And these, there are many theories as to how this style emerged, but you can see that it is completely different to the other ones. There are some theories that say that it came from the Kufic. Other theories say that no, that it actually evolved from sort of other cursive shorthands that were being written at the time. But it is, this style is not measured with a nokta, so it has a different way of finding, let's say, it has a different system of codification, which is more spontaneous, freer, and it can vary a lot from one calligrapher to the other, but there is a common aesthetic, which is always very clear that it is the Maghrebi style. And the same can be said for the sub-Saharan African styles, and there are different ones. Commonly, they are categorized under a Sudani style, but there are many, many subcategories of the different styles that were practiced in Senegal and Mali and Nigeria. And for instance, this is a very beautiful Quran from northern Nigeria. That the Qurans there are usually written in loose leaves and carried in these saddlebags, and then people will take a few leaves, when they're going to work or when they're traveling, to read it and memorize it and so on, and then put it back with the full Quran. So it's a sort of a very portable, living Quran. And then I would like to finish with a very beautiful Bihari script, which is an Indian style from the early 16th century. And I encourage everyone in India to research this style, which is no longer being written, because it has been a little bit ignored, also because we know very little about it. There's a professor here at Sorbonne University, Aloïse Braque-de-la-Perrière, who has worked on this style. And you can see that it's a very particular aesthetic. It's a mixture of Nasser, some elements from Nastalik. It's difficult to place. And once you get used to it, it actually has a lot of charm. And there were many beautiful, it was exclusively used to write the Quran. And there are other Indian styles. This was pre-Mughal. So you have other styles also, the Tura style, which was used a lot in architecture. And you have some interesting inscriptions in India as well. So again, I encourage Indian calligraphers to explore the Bihari style, because we would like very much to revive some of these styles which are no longer being written. So again, in this category of frontier scripts, as we call them, we have also the way Islamic calligraphy developed in China. So here you have a scroll on the left, which initially you would think this is Chinese calligraphy. However, you can see very clearly, that it is actually an Arabic letters with this very beautiful alif across the center. And then I've made an exception, giving you an example of calligraphy on architecture. This is the mihrab of the Beijing mosque. And again, you see, this is what they call this the Sini style, because again, this has not been studied in depth. But you see this very beautiful, spontaneous, very Chinese-looking style, but it's actually Arabic. And it's beautiful to see the way the local aesthetic was integrated with the Islamic aesthetic. So we have also many Qurans that were written in China in what we call the Muhakkak Chinese style. You see it on the upper left. And then, of course, we have Southeast Asia, where we also had many sort of local varieties and interpretations of different styles. Again, these are not classical styles per se, but you see sort of a local aesthetic mixed with elements of the classical style. So the bottom Quran is from Java from the 19th century, and we have some very interesting examples. Now, I haven't mentioned anything about the illumination, but it is interesting to see how the illumination is the decoration that surrounds the calligraphy. You can see how in all these frontier regions, the decoration completely adapts to the local aesthetic. So the top one, you can see it's very Chinese, and then the bottom right also very Javanese, let's say. So what I would like to finish with, I don't want to take too much time, but is the fact that calligraphy is very much a living art. So I don't want to just talk about calligraphy styles and leave it there, because it can be sometimes a bit dry and art historical. But the fact is that calligraphy continues to be transmitted from master to student. It's a very arduous process, and we follow in the classical styles, which I showed you before, which are codified according to the Nokta and the system of proportions. There's a very specific curriculum which all the students will follow, which is what we call the Mufredat. Here you have a very old example by Yaqut al-Mustasimi, the great calligrapher from the 13th century in Baghdad. And you see here, for instance, the example of the connections between Jim Aleph, Jim Ba, Jim Jim, Jim Dal, Jim Ra. And you see this is what the calligrapher will do. The student, the teacher will do the model, the student will repeat this and follow this for every single letter until they start writing sentences. Here you have another example of a model done by the great Shefki Effendi, who was a 19th century calligrapher from the Ottoman school. And you see here the noktas are little circles that he has done with the tip of the kalam to be able to distinguish better the measurements from the writing. And this is also a very famous sentence that is written once you have finished all the letter connections. And you see, again, the combination of thuluth and neser, which is the style in the middle, which are studied side by side. And this is something that the student will write on maybe for weeks, maybe for months, depending on how long the teacher deems necessary. And again, this is an example of Master Daoud Bektash, who is one of my teachers, checking one of the meshks, the lessons of the students. You see the student work on the top and then his corrections with red ink on the bottom. And we have an older example from the earliest 20th century of the corrections of the great, very great master Kamil Aktek. It's in black ink, but you see where he has put the noktas that shows the student what he needs to correct. And this was a lesson. You can see Thuluth and Mesech in the bottom. So a typical class, this is actually in Washington, D.C. with Master Mohammed Sekeria, who's one of my teachers. And basically at the time when I studied and when most calligraphers today studied, there were no smartphones. So basically what we did is you stand around the teacher and you observe his every move, and every correction is extremely valuable. And this is how you learn, by observing the teacher's hand every second. Once a student has passed all these different stages, then they will start writing larger pieces, and eventually the teacher will say, all right, now you may write your ijaza. This is an example of the ijaza of Abdullah Suhdi, who was a very great calligrapher, with the signature of his two teachers. And oftentimes students will study with a teacher, and then maybe the teacher's teacher will also sign the ijaza or the calligraphy license, which allows the student to produce his own pieces, to sign his pieces, and to also teach other students. And we have ijazats also for the Nastaliq script. This is an example from the 19th century. And then I would just like to finish with the main calligraphy supports, because oftentimes I find when I speak to general audience, they don't really know what calligraphers do. They think we write people's names or that we do graffiti on the wall. You know, they have trouble placing the art of calligraphy today. So of course we have the main support, which are books. We have the calligraphy albums, but this is not something that we would do oftentimes. It's quite expensive. You need a sponsor and so on. So today, what calligraphers actually produce are mostly, we do have a lot of calligraphers that are writing the calligraphy albums, which are these very beautiful accordion collector's albums. And the calligrapher will work with the artisans that make the leather, the artisans that makes the marbled paper, the artist that makes the illumination, and combine it with the calligraphy. We have also the scrolls, but this is something that is not being done today anymore. These were very, very popular, especially during Mamluk times, and also obviously for the legal fermans, or the legal documents from Ottoman times. And then the last support, which is the most popular today, is the calligraphic panels, or in Turkish we call it the levha, which comes from the Arabic lawh. And this is basically the way that the calligraphers are able to write a piece, mount it, frame it, and display it on the wall. And this was something that started to happen in the 16th, 17th century. And it was extremely important because it made calligraphy portable. It made calligraphy a public piece to be displayed and to be hung in different contexts. So it could be hung in a mosque, it could be hung in the different tekke or Sufi establishments, or in the home. So it's actually a very important development in the art of calligraphy. And when you go to calligraphy exhibits today, normally what you see are levhas, or calligraphic panels, which are exposed. Here you have an example of a very beautiful 19th century levha in the Jeli Thuluth script and in the Nastaliq script. And these are quite dramatic examples also from Iran in the 19th century. And then you see again the Kufic script, which comes back in the 19th century. It's also a piece from Iran. Then you have another support, which is also the lewha, but it's what we call the hilya, or the calligraphic icon of the Prophet, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And we could give a whole lecture on the hilya, but I just wanted to give you some examples. This became very popular during Ottoman times, to have it in the home, to protect the home, and to also for the barakah of the presence of the Prophet in the home. Here's some examples of the lewha in very large format. And then finally, I wanted to finish with the different columns in different sizes, which gives you an idea of the tools that the calligraphers use. You have the jelly column, which you see on the right. Then you have the bamboo. Then you have the reed, different sizes of reed and different types of reed. And then you have what we call the Java column, which is a small root that comes from Indonesia, which is then used with the handle of the reed for very small styles. Then the tools of the calligrapher, obviously, you need the knife, you need the makta, which is the little tablet where you cut the kalam. We have the scissors for the paper, and we have the burnisher to shine the paper. And I've put you an example of the traditional paper and the process of burnishing and making you create sort of a glossy paper with traditional mixtures that are applied and then burnished and left to age before you can use it. So again, classical calligraphy is alive and continues to be developed. We have different exhibits that are organized all over the world, biennials, international events. And these are just some examples to show you of what a typical calligraphy exhibit would look like. So thank you very much for your time. And I'm not sure how I'm doing for the timing, so I will pass it on to the organizers to let me know if there are any questions or how you wish to proceed. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Nuria, for sharing with us such valuable and intricate details of the evergreen art of calligraphy. It was a pleasure having you amidst us. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
I would now request Ms. Rabia to kindly brief us about Callithon for the attendees who have just joined the event. Over to you, Rabia. Thank you, Rabia, for that wonderful outlook of Callithon. I would now request Ms. Maheen Khan, a part of the digital team of Spacewell, to share with us a brief profile of our esteemed panel of judges who have given us an unbiased judgment based on the rules put forth for the event. Over to you, Maheen.
I guess there's some network issue at her end, so I'll be taking over. So we had a very renowned panel of jury. To begin with, we have Mr. Fuad Koichi Honda from Japan, who is also a part of the Association of Calligraphers in Japan. He completed his studies from an institute from University of Arts in Japan, Tokyo. Then he's also an honorary member of Calligraphers Association in Egypt. Then the next judge we have on our panel is Mr. Mohammad Tarifi Kashti from Iran. He is a very well-known calligrapher among the Arab countries. He has written around 20 volumes of books on Arabic calligraphy, and those are present in the library of the Shrine of Imam Reza in Iran. Last but not the least, we have Abdul Qayyum Silawat from India. He is a architect by profession, and he started professional Arabic calligraphy in the year 2017, and now he is doing and also improving his skills in Thuluth style of Arabic calligraphy. So these were the judges who helped us throughout the event to successfully finalize the participants and decide the winners.
Thank you, Rabia, for introducing our esteemed judges. For any organization, rewarding its participants is incredibly important. This event is a celebration of talent, success, and achievement. It also celebrates hard work, in turn making people feel appreciated and well respected. Firstly, we have the top 5 entries for each category, and the list of the winners shall be announced further as the event progresses. Well, brothers and sisters, as we draw closer to announcing our best entries, here we present before you the top 5 entries in the professional category. May we now have the artwork video, please? The professional category. MashaAllah. Every artwork signifies the dedication and commitment of our participants. We extend our heartfelt appreciation to the exquisite workmanship. The sponsors form a backbone of every event. It is now time for us to have a look at a short introduction video of our title sponsors, the Prestige Group, Bangalore. Can we have the video, please?
Even before it attains a shape or a story, innovation has a purpose. The greater the human need, the greater the hunger for change. 2000 years ago, aside from philosophy, art, and literature, Athens gave us democracy. 200 years ago, London changed man's destiny with the birth of the Industrial Revolution. And today, in the land of the Indus Valley civilization, it is the bustling metropolis of Bangalore that burns bright as the beacon of innovation. At Prestige Group, the pride of South India, we continue to infuse this spirit of innovation in Indian infrastructure. South India's mercurial rise meant that a whole new social animal was here. We at Prestige recognized that it needed a new den. 200 projects later, Prestige is not only India's largest property developer, but also a lifestyle choice. Kochi's serene backwaters forms the setting for the 7 towers of Prestige Neptune's courtyard. Residents of this waterfront community can relax in their very own oasis of calm. Chennai's largest gated community is Prestige's pioneering residential facility in the city. With its open green spaces, Prestige Bella Vista brings you home to a cozy nook amidst the hustle and bustle. An ode to Greek architecture inspired by the ancient citadel of Athens. Its imposing arches and columns make Prestige Acropolis one of the most sought-after residences in Bangalore. Nestled in the center of the city's recreational hub, Prestige Kingfisher Towers offers you an unmatched view of the Bangalore skyline. This exclusive property sets the benchmark for luxury living in Bangalore. The historic Elgin Flour Mills was meticulously redeveloped into a premium gated community by Prestige. With its iconic red brick facade, the Elgin is a beloved and enduring architectural landmark for Bangaloreans. Against the picturesque backdrop of Nandi Hills, Prestige Golfshire welcomes you to South India's first golf villa development. While a glorious PGA-designed 18-hole championship golf course lures the golfing soul, Golfshire also welcomes those looking for a weekend getaway in idyllic luxury courtesy the JW Marriott and the Quan Luxury Spa. The seeds of a country's progress are sown in the imagination of children. The Prestige Group envisioned an environment where ideas could thrive. The Inventure Academy focuses on nurturing individuality and holistic learning. It represents the transforming face of Indian education. the Indian financial landscape was evolving rapidly. Multinationals had arrived, Indian tech giants were born. A global power shift was in the making. Prestige emerged as a trailblazer, creating new age workspaces for corporate India. Bangalore's first integrated township, Prestige Shantiniketan, incorporates an expansive residential district, a swank business precinct, the upcoming Forum Mall, as well as the Sheraton hotels. The plush business precinct offers 3.6 million square feet of commercial space, spread across 7 majestic towers. Built to keep up with the meteoric rise of the Indian workforce, Prestige Polygon is a workplace of the future. Located on Mount Road, this awe-inspiring structure is prime real estate in Chennai. Equipped with plug-and-play business centers, the imposing Prestige Tech Platina is home to a diverse community of global businesses, including Adobe and SanDisk. Cessna Business Park is home to Cisco, the single largest corporate tenant in the country. The spacious and well-equipped campus developed by Prestige is Cisco's biggest office space after the headquarters in San Francisco. The tag of Silicon Valley of the East came with great responsibility. Leaders and business heads were checking in. Embracing India's long-standing tradition of hospitality, Prestige collaborated with industry icons like the JW Marriott, Sheraton, and Conrad to provide unparalleled comfort and luxury. Whether you're here to close a deal or for a getaway, Oakwood Premier Prestige lavishes you with elegantly furnished apartments, along with the impeccable service of an intimate hotel. In partnership with Starwood Hotels and Resorts, Prestige designed a loft for the needs of the jet-setting traveler. Offering the best in comfort and business needs, a loft is where you can work and unwind in equal measure. They say for those who wander, there will always be cities that feel like home. India's burgeoning cities were bringing people together. Prestige responded with cultural and retail hubs for all ages and palates. A new social destination for a new era. Chennai's one-stop entertainment destination, Forum Vijaya Mall, caters to everyone from the avid cinema goer and arcade aficionado to the shopaholic soul looking for retail therapy. The jewel of Bangalore's night sky, UB City is South India's premier mixed-use development, housing its first luxury mall, The Collection. Cutting across commercial, retail, and hospitality verticals, this upscale destination is built for those with a taste for the good life. our falcon has soared above the expected. And as a new epoch dawns, our gaze is fixed on a world beyond the horizon. The courage to innovate. This is what defines us at the Prestige Group.
I take this opportunity to thank the Prestige Group for being a vital part of this event and pray and hope to have many more such collaborations in the near future as well, inshallah. I would now call upon Mr. Mohammad Ronak, a part of the digital marketing team of Spacewell, to introduce our next speaker, Miss Siddiqa Juma. Over to you, Ronak. Seems like we are experiencing a network issue. Seems like we are experiencing a tiny technical issue. So I would request Ms. Rabia to take over and give us a brief introduction of our next speaker.
It's a privilege. It's a privilege to introduce an eminent personality like Madam Siddiqa Juma, who is critically acclaimed, multi-award winning contemporary Islamic artist, graphic designer, and a publisher. Madam Siddiqa believes that the purpose of her art is to unite people regardless of creed and color. She has exhibited globally, and her works of art are owned by royal families, eminent politicians, and few of her masterpieces are hung in most of the recognizable establishments in UK and abroad. It's a privilege to have you on board, ma'am. Madam Siddiqa Juma, over to you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am, you're audible.
Hello? Wonderful. Thank you. My name is Siddiqa Juma, and I am an Islamic artist. I specialize in contemporary representation of Islamic architecture, as well as interests in other Islamic art forms. My main interest in this came about when in fact, if I may go back, I specialized in my studies was in graphic design. But as I was progressing and my children are growing up, I found that it is a really good way of, in a way, relaxing. So I took this up. I just want to make sure that everybody can hear me. Can you all hear me?
Yes, madam. You're very audible.
Couldn't get a response, so I was a little bit lost.
You're very audible. Yes.
Thank you.
We can hear you, madam.
Wonderful, wonderful. So my, I way of making people, hoping that people can see my art with their heart rather than just their eyes. So a lot of my work is very abstract. For instance, when I do a lot of work on the Kaaba, a lot of my work is, the majority, in fact, is about the Kaaba, and I really would love for the viewer to actually be able to take what they see from it rather than just what I put into the artwork. For instance, I did a Tawaf series, which is circumambulation around the Kaaba. And Alhamdulillah, I've had really good response from that. I think what would be really good is, rather than just talk about my work, I think what I would like to do is, perhaps if there are specific things that you would like to know, that then I can talk about that. Is that okay? Hello?
That is perfectly fine. That is
Yeah.
perfectly fine.
Yeah. I find that it's a lot nicer when there is a back and forth, like a conversation.
Correct.
Yeah.
Right. You see, till now we have been working with our calligraphers who are very much into traditional calligraphy. Now, when you
Right.
are into contemporary calligraphy and
Well,
modern calligraphy,
yeah, I don't specialize in calligraphy. I
correct,
do some calligraphy work, but my specialism is actually contemporary representation of Islamic places and Islamic themes,
correct.
which includes, by the way, calligraphy. If I may just bring something that, um, for instance, I'm working on now. Uh, this is calligraphy. Um,
Okay.
See that?
Yeah, we can see that.
All right. So, for instance, this piece of work, what I've done is I've taken the beautiful Arabic letter forms and put my own stance to it. So, really, a representation of the work, but through my lens, through how I see it. So, the way I see calligraphy, for instance, is really taking the beautiful forms and the shapes and the and you know they it's very it's not like the English alphabet. It's
Okay.
the forms are very curvy and so on. So just taking that and making my own interpretation of it.
Right. So when you talk about the Arabic calligraphy, contemporary design and calligraphy, do you really think to create that form of pattern, do we have to learn calligraphy first and then combine the contemporary and the calligraphy to come out that this thing, or we can just use our imagination and do whatever
Well,
comes?
I mean, there's two ways of looking at it. Calligraphy, as taught by the masters and so on, there are rules, and there are people have spent their whole life learning about this, and
Okay.
it's an absolutely beautiful art form, and I don't think anyone would go into it without actually absolutely loving the
Yeah.
whole art. um, in the case of calligraphy, because it is the language that is used, it is the form of writing that is used in the Quran. It becomes very close to our heart. Yeah.
Sure.
To look at it another way, if, for instance, me who has not trained as a calligrapher, the way I look at it is it's just like in nature and so on, the beautiful shapes, you can take that could be the inspiration in creating something which is visually interesting, if you see what I mean. My work is not specialized in when I mean, in this case, I'm talking about the calligraphy. I'm not an expert in calligraphy. I'm in awe in all the works that I've been looking at. The stuff that has been represented today in your show. I mean, I take my hat off to these people. They've got years and years and years of experience, and they've reached a stage where it is world beating. Where I come in is I take these beautiful art forms and I try and create something which is uniquely, in a way, uniquely mine, if you see what I mean. So I look at it as these are shapes that can create aesthetically beautiful paintings.
So according to this, then, as you said, there are a lot of rules which need to be followed in calligraphy. When we
Mhm.
talk about Toulouse, when we talk about Nastalik or
Yes,
Diwani. So
yes.
in contemporary design, we don't have to. I think that rules doesn't matter a lot. It only thinks how best we can bring out and with what bright colors we use.
I no, I think it does matter. It does matter.
Ah,
If for instance, uh, you are trying to show a particular style, like Kufik or like
okay.
Toulouse, or if that is your aim, then very surely you must make sure that it is, following rules, following the forms, following what's been taught, and all that goes with it. Where I come in is I don't see it, and it's nothing to do with contemporary or tradition, but I don't. I take these forms and I create art just based on the shapes and so on. So yeah, but going with that, for instance, I created a series called Shahada, which is La ilaha illallah, right? So I have,
Correct.
uh, for instance, if we're talking about Mahaba paintings, there is a series like the Shahada series where you've got layer upon layer upon layer of colors, and then you've got the Kaaba in the middle, and then the last layer is the La ilaha illallah repeated thousands of times, handwritten. So I'm almost using that calligraphy to create. If you step back from it, I mean, I what I'll do is I'll leave you my website so you'll be able to see this piece, for instance, on the website. It's called Circumambulation. And so
Correct.
the ilaha illallah almost acts like the last layer of color. It's written in gold, so it almost like the shine of our lives, if you see what I mean. So I do use calligraphy almost as an embellishment into the art.
Right. And these questions I asked you because in few days when we started this process of competition of Callithon, calligraphy
Mhm.
competition, we had a lot of queries where many of the new generation, young generation, or
Yeah,
today's generation, what we call, they
yeah,
are more interested in modern calligraphy, where the
right.
colors is used, where
Yeah,
we have geometrical designs,
yeah,
uh, colorful designs, because generally when we see the calligraphy in Toulouse and Nastalik, it's like
yeah,
togra, what they
yeah,
make it as togra. It's in a perfect format and it cannot change the format. But
yeah,
the new generation whom we are interacting and we are talking about, they are more interested in learning the modern calligraphy,
yeah,
where we can use bold colors, strong
yeah,
colors,
yeah,
just not like temporary black and white or a brown color.
yeah.
So do you want to give any tips to those young generation?
And I think that's absolutely great. The fact that they want to come on board, but they want to
Hmm.
use what inspiration of works that they see within the Western sphere or Middle Eastern or Far Eastern and so on. So I think what's happening now is they're taking inspiration, or they're taking things from, let's say, for instance, comic, manga, where
Yeah,
they're using very bright colors, or when you talk about Western pop art. And what they're trying to do is kind of combine the two. I mean, I've
correct.
done some work which is on digitally produced.
Hmm.
May I show you that?
Yeah, yeah, please, please.
Hold on a second.
Uh,
for instance, if you look at this one, it is an ayat from the Quran. All right.
Okay.
Yeah, and it's
It's like
using,
flash.
it's a splash.
Yes.
It is
Yes.
a modern representation. So literally what we're trying to do. I mean, what especially the young people who are sort of coming into this. This is the circumambulation piece that I was talking about. Can you see?
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah, you've got the
Right.
Kaaba, and then La ilaha illallah written
Yes.
all around it. You know,
Right.
um,
Right.
it's very it's good that if I show you that one, you've got Allah, but
Yes.
it is written in my own style.
Okay.
I think especially the young people who are coming into this now, they will draw inspiration from various places, and I think that should be encouraged. But I also do think that if you are going to go into this as a calligrapher, you first learn the rules. You first learn
Yes.
how to do it properly. It's only by knowing the rules that you can break the rules in a way.
Right. So, as per your details, before we enter the contemporary and modern design of calligraphy, first we need to educate ourselves, learn the traditional calligraphy, rules, regulation, and then we can start using our imagination, and
feel
then
so.
use those new techniques to bring out new form of art.
Yes.
But basic thing is we need to know the actual traditional calligraphy. Then only we
Yeah.
can implement those ideas on a modern this thing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
So, madam, do you have?
if you look at the calligrapher El Cid, for instance, where
Okay.
he's using the shapes all intertwined into each other in a very beautiful way. I'm pretty sure that he learned the proper techniques first before he did create such beautiful works. After that, he put his own stance into it. But I think that if you are going to be known as a calligrapher, learn the techniques first, and then
Okay.
put your into it.
Right. And last question, madam. Do we have any platform where we can come and learn this modern art?
I'm well, yes, of course. I mean, it would be fantastic to be able to go to the masters in Syria, Egypt, but obviously with the world the way it is now, it is difficult. However, I mean, I find that there is so much on now, even on the internet, on Udemy, on these learning platforms. There's quite a lot out there. In the UK, for instance, we've got the School of Traditional Arts, the Prince's School of Traditional Arts. So I'm in the UK, alhamdulillah, we've got these places where we can learn. And I'm sure also, in India and on all these places, I'm sure there are many places where we can learn. But even on the internet, there's quite a lot. There's a platform called Udemy.
Udemy. Okay.
Yeah.
In fact, we have started our own academy. It's called Spacewell Academy of Calligraphy, where we'll be teaching all these styles, and also we are looking to teach them in modern style and contemporary design. Madam, I missed one question asking you. What was your inspiration? Who inspired you to come into this contemporary calligraphy designs? What was your inspiration?
Well, if I think if you look around and see the beauty that's out there, if we're trying to be to bring beauty into our home, I started just to paint, and I was an awful painter, but I just started to paint. Just looking at people like Paul Klee. I mean, my inspiration does come from the Western Paul Klee, Salvador Dali, and I used to just try and copy them, and then slowly I wanted to do something which is actually close to my heart, which is Islam. So I started Kaaba because I haven't been to Hajj, and for me it was like, okay, I'd really like to perhaps have something on the wall. And alhamdulillah, by the grace of God, it kind of grew and grew and grew, and now alhamdulillah, I've got my works in quite a few places.
Right. That's very, very nice to know. And as I was telling, we have started our academy, and inshallah, very soon we'll be coming up with modern art also, which is in our list. Uh, thank you so very much, Siddiqa Juma madam, for coming in a very short notice and gracing us with your knowledge, your experience, and
Aman.
giving us this wonderful, क्या बोलते हैं, enlightening us with modern art, taking the traditional calligraphy and mixing and coming out. And I wholeheartedly thank you, and I thank you from behalf of all my Callithon team. It was wonderful, and it was pleasure to have you on board. Thank you so very much
Well,
for
you're doing
coming online.
a fantastic work. I hope this is the start of many, 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 many years to
Many
come.
more.
And
Inshallah.
hope
Inshallah. Amen.
us as in the creative community, what we must do is to make sure that we support each other. So I will be delighted to kind of pass the word around. You're doing a great job. Let's hope,
Thank you
inshallah,
so much.
it grows and grows and grows.
Inshallah, madam. Thank you. And we need a lot of your blessings for this. And we look forward to do many more, events and workshops which is related to Islam and Islamic art.
Inshallah. Thank you. May
Thank you
God.
so very much once again, behalf of my whole team, Callithon. And over to you, Ms. Safia.
Thank you.
Thank you, madam.
Thank you, madam, for making time to give us an insight into your uniquely beautiful artwork. This session was surely engaging and educative. The budding calligraphers can draw huge inspiration from you. Let's now move on to the presentation of the top 5 entries in the intermediate category. Just a quick reminder that these are the top 5 entries, and 3 winners shall be announced shortly. Can we have the art video for the intermediate level, please? MashaAllah. Every piece of art displays a unique beauty in itself. I, on behalf of Team Spacewell, would like to congratulate the top 5. Moving on, it is now time to watch a short video clip introducing our platinum sponsors, the Rehbar Financial Consultants, who have lent a valuable support in making this event a grand success. Alhamdulillah. Can we have the video, please?
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullah. Peace be unto you. I am PC Mustafa, CEO and co-founder of ID Fresh Food. We make world's best food, idlis. We started ID in a 50 square feet kitchen with an investment of 50,000 rupees. Today, we serve ID to million customers every day with a coverage of 30,000 outlets in around 35 cities. ID is a 1,000 crore fresh food brand today. One thing that we're very particular about is that ID should not take interest-based loans. We don't pay interest, we don't take interest. We don't believe in growth at any cost. Growth at any cost is the philosophy of cancer cells. Today, we see crisis across the world due to excessive leverage on debt. We associated with Hiram Ventures and Azim Premji Investments on pure equity terms. Today, our equity partners are very happy with ID's performance. For asset finance, we tied up with Rahbar Financial Consultants. They funded us vehicles for our distribution as well as the in-store refrigerators to display our products. They have been a good partner to work with, and we are currently closing another lease deal with them to expand our fleet across different cities. One thing that has been particularly satisfying for me personally is that when we are taking funding through Rahbar, we are also creating attractive investment opportunities for smaller investors who might not have access to such opportunities. Let us grow together and build sustainable businesses.
Thank you. We will now have the video of the top 5 finalists in the beginners category. Can we have the video, please? I now call upon Ms. Maheen Khan to introduce our next speaker. Over to you, Maheen. We shall have the video for the top 5 finalists for the beginners category soon.
We have a very young scholar amidst us who's also a researcher. She is doing her PhD from Aligarh Muslim University, India. So let us now welcome Miss Fauzia Maram to enlighten us and share her knowledge with us. Welcome, Fauzia. Over to you. Yes, Fauzia, I hope I'm audible to you. Fauzia, can you hear us? Are you with us?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, we are waiting for you to start.
Is my slide visible?
No. Yes, it is now.
Assalamu alaikum. I am Fawzia Maram. So today the topic of my presentation is Islamic calligraphy, revisiting and relocating the abundant art in contemporary times. So as this Arabic calligraphy competition intends to reconnect people to the splendid art of calligraphy, so I think my topic is quite relevant here. So here are the contents. First, we are going to discuss what is Islamic art, then the elements, then calligraphy and the three great traditions that is prevalent. Actually, for understanding calligraphy, it is evident for us to understand the meaning and importance of writing. So we are going to discuss what is writing, then the categories of calligraphy, then Quranic evidences, 12 principles, major styles, splendor, and last but not the least, we are going to discuss the causes of the degeneration of Islamic calligraphy, particularly in India, and need for revival and steps taken to revive traditional calligraphy back. And at the end, we are going to discuss some of the prominent calligraphers of the Muslim world. So this is the first slide. Actually, art is one of the most dominant medium of any culture and any civilization. If we say that people are known in history by their civilization and identified by their culture, then they are judged by their artistic skill and artistic heritage. It is because art is the most significant medium through which they express their sense of beauty, their thought, their belief system, their understanding, etc. Art expresses the spiritual, psychological, and emotional aspect along with one's religious belief, customs, traditions, and ideals. Secondly, art is a spiritual activity because there is a connection between the artist and the creator. What an artist creates, it is a piece of art, but the journey he goes through while creating it is far beyond. So it is said that Allah is beautiful and he loves beauty. So it is his barakah which rewards the artist with spiritual and artistic understanding. Therefore, the inspiration of Islamic art lies in Tawheed, the very existence of the Almighty, and the Quranic revelations. Hence, the imagination behind art is human, but the inspiration is divine. This is the reason why S.T. Guetin said that art is perhaps the most original and most impressive contribution of Islamic civilization to world culture. So it is the unique contribution of Muslims all throughout the globe that they have contributed a lot in the field of art. Now, here a question arises, what is Islamic art? So many scholars have tried to define it and they have defined it in different ways. But there is no single definition that fully articulates all the dimensions of Islamic art. Some believe that Islamic art is held to be the art made by artists whose religion was Islam and who lived in predominantly Muslim land. But when we use the term Islamic for Islamic art, it applies to the direct application of divine doctrines in the artistic practices as well as the artistic process. Look, there's no aspect of human life in which Islamic ideals do not function. And therefore, Islamic art becomes the representation of spiritual realities that we gain from Islamic revelation. Also, it is a kind of worship as it stands for the contemplation and remembrance of the Almighty. So, this is Islamic art and elements. Calligraphy, arabesque, geometric patterns, and vegetal patterns, they are considered the fundamental elements of Islamic art. And one of the most remarkable feature of Islamic art is the repeated usage of patterns and designs. As you can see in the picture, you can see that the pattern grows from everywhere and there seems to be no beginning and no end. So even in a vegetal pattern also, each leaf it grows out of the tip of the other, as you can see in the picture. And it seems that there is no beginning and no end. You cannot identify from where the artist has begun and where he has ended. So these elements of Islamic art are visible both in Islamic architecture as well as the manuscripts of calligraphy. So calligraphy, meaning and inspiration. Actually, I have noted some of the key points regarding calligraphy for you to understand the key points that what is actually calligraphy and what is the inspiration. Actually, man is not the only creature of God who has been given the capacity to speak, but he has been given the unique privilege of expressing himself through writing. In general, we can say that calligraphy is called the art of writing beautifully, but good handwriting has always been praised in Muslim society. whatever the Muslims had done, they had done it in the most beautiful way, in the best possible way. So this art of writing, they have done that also in the best possible way. Secondly, in calligraphy, in Arabic, calligraphy is called handastul khat, which means geometry of line. So this khat or line is very vital for calligraphy, as it maintains the beauty, glory, and grandeur of various calligraphic scripts. My third point is about pen and ink. Yes, pen and ink are elemental for calligraphy because pen is considered the fountainhead of knowledge, and ink is the medium through which that knowledge is expressed. So both are elemental and very significant, both visually as well as metaphysically. Yes, the foundation of the art of calligraphy is rhombic dot, or which is also known as Arabic dot or nokta, because in Arabic calligraphy, this rhombic dot, it is considered the referent of measurement. Indispensable status. Yes, calligraphy occupies an indispensable status in Muslim society, and it can be well understood with the fact that the Quranic verses have been calligraphed and inscribed on the walls of Kaaba, and this Kaaba, it is the holy and sacred place for Muslims all throughout the world. So this has also made this art superior and highly respected art form in the Muslim world. So inspiration, I have already discussed that the inspiration of Islamic art is divine, and it is related to Islamic revelation. And it is because the most crucial transmission that has occurred in the Muslim history is that of the Holy Book Quran. And for preserving it, calligraphy was used. Now, purpose. As the Muslims had developed the science of Qiraat, so the need was also to glorify the verses of the Holy Quran. And this shows the love and respect of Muslims towards their faith. And they have done, I think, marvelous work in the field of calligraphy. Forbiddance of the depiction of living being. As depiction of living being is prohibited in Islam, so this art has helped the Muslim artists in channelizing their artistic impulse in the form of calligraphy. The Quranic influence has made calligraphy the not only the most important art form, but highly respected visual art form of the Muslim world. And calligraphers has always been praised in Muslim society because they were considered the guardians of faith, as they had contributed their whole life to the service of religion. It is considered such an high art form that the Spanish artist Pablo Picasso once said that if I had known there was such a thing as Islamic calligraphy, I would never have started to paint. I have strived to reach the highest level of artistic mastery, but I found that Islamic calligraphy was there ages before I was. So these things show the glory of this art. Now, this slide, actually, there's a scholar whose name is Albertine Gore, and she has written in her book A History of Calligraphy, that there are three great traditions in relation to calligraphy. The first is Western calligraphy, which is also called Roman. Second is Chinese or Oriental, and third is Arabic. So, as our main concern here is Arabic calligraphy, so I'm just giving you one or two points regarding Western and Chinese, and we'll directly skip to Arabic calligraphy. So Western calligraphy have their roots in the Roman system of script. And the basis of Western calligraphy is Roman or Latin alphabet. And there are two kinds of script. The first is known as book hands and second is documentary hands. Now this book hand was used for copying of literature, and documentary hand, it has a wide range, and it was used for chancery hand. And now this chancery hand is actually two particular kinds of script that was prevalent in the West. Also, it was used for ordinary writings of officials and private persons. Now, Chinese calligraphy. Yes, Chinese calligraphy began with the Chinese script and Chinese brush. And Chinese brush is also very popular in the world, and it is used for Chinese calligraphy and Chinese painting. There are three perfections in China. The first is painting, second is poetry, and third is calligraphy. And among all the three perfections, calligraphy is the most prestigious. And even in China, calligraphy is considered, it is a highly respected art form. And there are two factors that dominate Chinese calligraphy. The first is the nature of Chinese script, and second is its identification with visual art. So, as our main concern here is Arabic calligraphy, so talking about the beginning of Arabic calligraphy, it is linked to the history of Islam and and the Quranic revelation. In the pre-Islamic period, poetry was very dear to the Arabs, and they mostly depended on oral transmission. But after the advent of Islam, also the Quran was being transmitted orally for an extended period of time. And it was after the Battle of Yamama when the Muslims felt the need to preserve it through writing. And and the reason was that they had lost a large number of Hufaz in the battles. So this led to the development of calligraphy in Islam. Later, the devotion of Muslims towards their faith persuaded them to write more beautifully, and this led to the proper development of Arabic calligraphy. Now, this development of Arabic calligraphy is also linked to the development of Arabic script. The term used for the crude form of Arabic script initially was jazm, and this Jazm script has later impacted the development of Kufic script also. And even before Kufi, Jazm has become the sacred language in which Quran was written in the early period of Muslim history. And various other calligraphic styles also developed. Some of them, which is very not very prominent, but it was there. It is Ambari, Makki, and Madani, and they were named such and such due to the places they were associated with. So Kufi was getting developed at that time, and it was considered one of the most important script of Islamic calligraphy because it was used for copying the Quran in the early period. So in the beginning 300 years it was used, but in the 9th century it incorporated ornamental forms and non-figurative illumination. Also, I would like to say here that it is the state of immense grief that the Abbasids destroyed most of the records of Umayyads when they gained power, obviously due to political reasons, but this had led to the loss of many calligraphic specimens and calligraphic writings of the early period of Muslim history. And at that time, many attempts were also made to improve the Quranic scripts when they were writing in Kufi. So there was a man whose name was Ibn Muqla who shouldered the task of redesigning the script for making it suitable for writing of the Quran. And his significant modification changed the direction of the development of Arabic calligraphy. And this is the reason why he is known as the true founder of Arabic cursive calligraphy. And his significant contribution was based on three things. The first is rhombic dot, standard alif, and the standard circle. So it is called Khattul Mansoob or the proportioned script. So it was Ibnul Bawab who followed Ibn Muqla's system, imitated his style for years, and after gaining mastery, refined it for giving more elegance to this art. So, and this contribution is known as Mansubul Fayaq. So, after Ibn Muqla and Ibn al-Bawab, there was another calligrapher who emerged in the following century, and his name is Yaqut al-Mustasimi. Now, what this Yaqut al-Mustasimi did is that he further perfected and replaced the straight cut of the nib with an obliquely cut one. So, for this reason, he earned the title of the Qibla and the Sultan of calligraphers. Now, here you can see that this script is by Ibn al-Bawab. It is in Sulus script, and this one is by Yaqut al-Mustasimi. Yes. Now, actually, for understanding calligraphy, it is evident for us to understand the meaning and importance of writing also. So, Plato is believed to have said that writing is the geometry of soul, and writing is significant for the development of culture, society, and civilization. Because without writing, without writing, no civilization can exist. Without writing, no society can develop, no community can have cultural base. And this is the reason why E.B. Taylor said that the invention of writing was the great movement by which mankind rose from barbarism to civilization. How vast its effect was may be best measured by looking at the low condition of tribes still living without it, dependent on memory for their traditions and rules of life, and unable to amass knowledge as we do by keeping records of events and storing up new observations for the use of future generations. Thus, it is no doubt right to draw the line between barbarian and civilized, where the art of writing comes in, for this gives permanence to history, law, and science. So, this shows that writing helps the civilization to develop, and it gives permanence to history, art, law, and science. Also, it is the best medium to transfer knowledge, art, cultural legacy to the next generation. Now, Sultan Ali Mashhadi, he is believed to have said that the foundation of the art of writing is the practice of virtue. So it involves the practice and incorporation of virtue into one's quotidian life. So it actually teaches high moral and ethical values. Now, the tools of writing. In calligraphy, the fundamental tool that an artist need is a pen or reed pen, knife, ink, inkpot, glazed paper that must be smooth, shiny, marble paper, and ebru paper. So these are the practical needs and tools for a calligraphic writing. But what Mir Ali of Herat said is, I think, far more significant. He says that the calligrapher needs five things: a fine temperament, understanding of calligraphy, a good hand, endurance of pain, and a perfect set of implements. So, this set of implements is actually the tool. However, the calligrapher, for becoming a calligrapher, it is a must to have a fine temperament, understanding of calligraphy. That means he should have the capacity to understand the technique and methods of calligraphy, a good hand. He should be capable enough of enduring pain, and of course, a perfect set of implement is needed. So this is, you can see in the picture, this is calligraphic pen of different cut. Now, categories of calligraphy. So, as actually our main concern is traditional and classical Arabic calligraphy, but it is very important for us to understand the contemporary trends also. There's a scholar whose name is Ismail R. Faruqi and Louis Lamia Faruqi. They both are husband and wife, and they have unitedly written a book, The Cultural Atlas of Islam, and they have discussed about the contemporary trends in calligraphy. They say that it is five in number. I've noted that. Traditional, figural, expressionist, symbolic, and pure abstractionist. Now, traditional calligraphy. Yes, traditional calligraphy is linked to the earlier generation or the classical calligraphers. It is the mainstream classical original calligraphy, such as the calligrapher who follow Ibn Muqla, Ibn al-Bawab, or the traditional calligraphers. Secondly, uh, it follows the long established rules and regulations. The rules and regulations that has been made by either the inventor, founders, or the legend calligraphers. And the biggest difference between traditional calligraphy and other categories of calligraphy is that traditional calligraphy is linked to the classical aspect, and it is linked to the classical stream, and others have no or less connection with the traditional aspect. Moreover, other categories have got influence from the alien traditions also, and the traditional calligraphy has not. Now, the followers of traditional calligraphy in the contemporary times, I have some names. Eh, in Turkey, we have Daoud Bektash, Hassan Chelpi, Jawad Quran. Jawad Quran is actually from Iran, but he lives in Turkey. Farhat Kurlu and Ayatin Tiryaki. Ayatin Tiryaki is a lady. From Iran, we have legends such as Ghulam Hussain Amir Khani, Abbas Akhwan, Rasul Muradi, Mohammad Shahbazi, Ali Shirazi, Israfil Sherchi, Jalil Rasuli, and Jawad Bakhtiyari. From Pakistan, we have Shafiqul Zama. Shafiqul Zama is the man who has calligraphed the verses of the Quran in Masjid Nabwi in Medina. He is presently in Medina. And Wasil Shahid, he is also an emerging calligrapher from Pakistan who is a follower of traditional calligraphy. Apart from Shafiqul Zama and Wasil Shahid, we have Rashid Bhatt and Muhammad Ali Zahid. From Bangladesh, we have Abdul Rahim and Mustafizur Rahman. From India, we have Muhammad Ehrar Hindi and Abdul Latif Mendaki. Now, this Abdul Latif Mendaki, he belongs from the southern part of India. So these are the contemporary calligraphers who are followers of traditional calligraphy. Now, this is the second trend, that is figural calligraphy. So it is actually a combination of figural motifs with the calligraphic elements. Like you can see in the picture that it is like a leaf having Quranic verses written in a figural design. Secondly, as depiction of a living being is prohibited, so zoomorphic and human figures are not included in figural calligraphy. Apart from this, there is another trend which is working under figural calligraphy, and it is known as design of integration. Now, actually, I do not have an example, a specimen to show it to you, but this design of integration, it starts as a letter but ends as some kind of motif. Let's take animal motif or a plant motif or human motif. It ends like that. So I do not have the specimen to show it to you. Otherwise, I would have shown. Yes, the third and fourth is expressionist and symbolic calligraphy. This expressionist, it is not close to traditional calligraphy because here emotive elements are there, and we can say that the emotions are expressed through violent distortion and exaggeration, and it is more a representation of hidden emotions. So as it is the representation of hidden emotions, so obviously it is individualistic. The fourth is symbolic calligraphy. In symbolic calligraphy, the impact of westernization and Western movements are seen on the artistic process and artistic orientation. Also, symbolism is vital here, and it is the use of a particular letter or word as a symbol of an idea or a complex of ideas. So this is expressionist and symbolic, which is contemporary today. The last but not the least is pure abstractionist calligraphy, which is also known as pseudo calligraphy. So, in pure abstractionist calligraphy, letters, geometric shapes, or motifs are used, and the most alarming point is that pseudo calligraphy, as the name suggests, do not convey any meaning. And we know that the objective of Islamic art, and particularly Islamic calligraphy, is to convey meaning in one way or the other. So, if pseudo calligraphy or pure abstractionist calligraphy is not conveying any meaning at the first place, so it obviously goes outside the realm of Islamic art. Secondly, people can say it as Muslim art, but only on the basis that the artist who created it is a Muslim. Otherwise, it's not. The fifth point is pure abstraction is an example of art for art's sake. So this new trend, which they call as calligraphy, is just for the sake of art or pleasure, without conveying any meaning. Yes, Quranic evidences. Now there are few evidences that brings Islamic art or Arabic calligraphy closer to the Quranic ideals. Like you can see in the slide, there are two verses. The first verse is from Surah Alaq, which says, "Proclaim or read in the name of thy Lord and Cherisher, who created man out of a leech-like cloth. Proclaim, and thy Lord is most bountiful. He who taught the use of the pen taught man that which he knew not." So I've already discussed how elemental is pen and ink for calligraphy, and this verse denotes about the usage of pen. Allah has taught the use of pen because pen or qalam is considered the fountain of knowledge. In the second verse, which is from Surah Luqman, it says, "And the ocean were ink with seven oceans behind it to add to its supply, yet would not the words of God be exhausted in the writing, for God is exalted in power, full of wisdom." So here it is said that if all the oceans on this earth would be considered ink, then also man cannot praise the Almighty as he should be praised. So these verses shows the importance of pen and ink, and Allah Himself says here to praise Him with the help of ink and pen. So as they are used in calligraphy, so this helps in becoming calligraphy the highly respected art form. Yes, 12 principles of Islamic calligraphy. These are the classical principles for classical Islamic calligraphy. So, if an artist or calligrapher deviates from following these 12 principles, the manuscript created would not be considered the true piece of calligraphic specimen. So, it is tarkib, kursi, nisbat, zoof, quwwat, satah, dor, sood, nuzul, usul, safa, and shan. So these are the 12 principles. Tarkib is actually pattern. It is the correct placing and setting of the words or letters in a satar, that is line. So the first principle for a calligrapher is to imitate and copy the tarkib used by the master calligraphers. Like you can see here in the first line, it is showing the wrong positioning of the letter, and in the second one it is showing the correct positioning of the letter. So it is according to the tarkib. Kursi is the baseline on which the calligrapher set the letters. It is actually an imaginary line that helps the calligrapher in placing the letters correctly. So you can see the position of ya and dal in the first line. So this is actually the wrong positioning, and in the second line, you can see that the position of ya and dal, it is according to the kursi. Nisbat or proportion, it is actually the proportion and size of the letter. Zof is the thin portion of the letter. Quwwat is the thick portion of the letter. Satah, it is the surface or volume, and according to the surface and volume in proportion to the space in which that letter is being written. So dor, it is the curveness and roundness of the letter. Sood, it is the upward movement of the pen. Actually, these are practical principles. So when a calligrapher writes, the upward movement of the pen will be known as sood, and the downward movement of the pen would be known as nuzul. And usul is obviously, we know that rituals and rules, and safa and shan. So safa is the presence of beauty and a special kind of sheen in a calligraphic writing. And shan, it is the presence of extraordinary glaze and grace. So these are the 12 principles and of classical Islamic calligraphy. And if a calligrapher deviates from it, so the manuscript would not be considered a true piece. Major styles. Actually, I'm not discussing major styles because my topic do not require it. So actually, I just want to show you the specimen so that you can identify the differences between these specimens. Here you can see it is Kufic. It is Kufic. It is apart from the 6 classical cursive script. It is the prominent script that was used in the early period of Muslim history because the Holy Quran was being written in that script. And this is Solus and Nasakh. You can identify the differences in these. This is Muhaqqaq and Rihani. Here also you can identify the difference. And this is Riqa. Actually, I've not got a standard copy of a standard specimen of Tawqi, so I didn't add it. Maybe I can show it to you in next time. So apart from these 6 classical cursive script, there's another script which is very important, and that is known as Nastaliq script. Now, this specimen which you are seeing on your screen, that is by Muhammad Ihrar Hindi, who is fortunately my father. He is specialized in Nastaliq script, though he writes all the other scripts. So this script is Nastaliq, and it is considered the toughest and the complicated script of all the calligraphic script. And this is the reason why it is known as the bride of all the calligraphic scripts. Now, Mir Ali Tabrizi was from Iran is the inventor of this script, and it was invented after combining the 2 older scripts, that is Nasakh and Taliq. So this specimen is by Muhammad Ihrar Hindi from India. Yes, splendor. When we talk about the splendor and glory of the various calligraphic writing, beauty line becomes a must. And beauty line is not only present in Islamic calligraphy, but it is also present in painting. So as we know that khat or line is very significant, and the correct movement of a line suggests the beauty of anything, or beauty of art, beauty of Islamic calligraphy, beauty of Arabic calligraphy, and even beauty of painting. So beauty line is very important for art, and it is also very important for Islamic calligraphy. When you see a calligrapher writing, you will think that it is very easy to write, but it is not. So I have a quote to show it to you. This quote I've got from Albertine Gore's book, A History of Calligraphy, and it says, "If you do not know how to write, you will consider it no hardship. But if you want a detailed account of it, let me tell you that the work is heavy. It makes the eyes misty, bows the back, crushes the ribs and belly, brings pain to the kidneys, and makes the body ache all over. Therefore, O reader, turn the leaves gently and keep your fingers away from the letters. For as the hailstorm ruins the harvest of the land, so does the unserviceable reader destroy the book and the writing. As the sailor welcomes the final harbor, so does the scribe the final line." So this final line is actually a beauty line, which helps in maintaining the beauty, glory, and grandeur of a calligraphic writing. So now the degeneration of calligraphy, particularly in India. So, so far as the art of Arabic calligraphy is considered or concerned, the condition of Indian subcontinent is quite different and strange in comparison to Iran, Turkey, and other Muslim majority countries. Although the Muslims were minority in India, they ruled the subcontinent for more than 800 years. And Arabic and Persian were languages of the court and the ruling class. And Islamic art and learning was widespread at that time. So both Hindus and Muslims used Persian language and Arabic script. The Muslim culture was culture of the ruling class without any difference on the basis of faith. But unfortunately, in 1857, when the Mughal Empire came to an end, the scene changed. It gave a fatal blow to the Muslim culture, civilization, language, script, and everything was at stake. Here, the role of the Britishers becomes very significant. They have snatched the political power from Muslim rulers and applied divide and rule policy among the Hindus and Muslims. They gained support from Hindu majority, and this gave a jolt to Muslim culture. So the Muslims were at that point of time, the Muslims were psychologically affected, and this developed a feeling of self-defense. So they at that point tried to protect at least the basic Islamic teachings. So for this reason, Islamic Madrasa of Deoband and Madrasatul Ulum of Aligarh was established. So with this scenario, one can understand the intensity of destruction and a fatal blow to Muslim culture, Islamic learning, Islamic art and calligraphy. So this great art of calligraphy was confined to the chambers of scribes who were just meant to copy books and newspapers. So slowly and gradually, this classical calligraphy vanished. And this was also the time when Munshi Naval Kishore, who was a book publisher from India and who is also known as the Caxton of India, he emerged and he actually founded Munshi Naval Kishore Press at Lucknow in 1858 and he actually unearthed rare books of Hindus and Islamic philosophers, Islamic literature, religious books, even books in Urdu, Arabic, Persian, Hindi, and Sanskrit, and he got them printing. So the contribution of Munshi Naval Kishore Press to Islamic literature is also very significant for Muslim society when the condition was deteriorating at that point of time. So the condition got so worse within a century that the scribes who pretended to be master calligraphers, they became the whole and soul of art field. Although they were unaware of the basics of calligraphy, they became teachers. So Muhammad Ihrar Hindi himself asked a lot of scribes about dang, satah and other terminologies, but he didn't get any satisfactory response. In fact, Maulvi Ehteramuddin Shaghil has also written in his book about the privation of correct knowledge and techniques of calligraphy. So there was a time when India has been a place where calligraphers of international standard emerged. And they were Muhammad Hussain Kashmiri, Abdul Rashid Delami, Hafiz Nurullah, and Muhammad Amir Panjakash. But the condition worsened to such an extent that the writers lacked awareness about such terminologies. And even they can't identify the differences between sulus and muhaqqaq. So later, when these scribes also decreased in number, NCPUL took an initiative to teach calligraphy. But as there was no teacher left, so the scribes about which I was discussing, they became teachers who had little understanding of calligraphy. And this step also did not prove much effective. So there are a lot of other attempts by other professionals too, but nothing worked. So at this period, a man emerged whose name is Muhammad Ihrar Hindi. Classical calligraphy has completely vanished from the land up to this time. So in 1981, Muhammad Ihrar Hindi tried to learn it from the original teachers and he contacted calligraphers from Iran and Turkey. At first, he went to Khudabakhsh Public Oriented Library in Patna, where some manuscripts of calligraphy by classical calligraphers have been preserved, and he deeply analyzed the specimens of Mir Ahmad, Delami, and Ali Reza Abbasi, who were original calligraphers. So he prepared notes on their specimen and he started imitating their style and manuscript and he tried to learn from it. So it is called Nazira Navesi. Later, he contacted calligraphers from Iran and Turkey who fortunately helped him in understanding the methods and techniques. And I would say that he spent a major part of his life, that is more than 35 years, in reviving and relocating this art in India. Calligraphers such as late Ali Al Parslan from Iran, from Turkey, sorry, he's from Turkey, Rasul Muradi, Mujtaba Sabza, Farzan Nizad Kirmani, etc. So they have helped him in shouldering this great responsibility. Today, he has few disciples, but he believes in quality rather than quantity. And his attempts has also been recognized by Iran Culture House, New Delhi. Apart from him, there is another calligrapher whose name is Abdul Latif Mendaki. He's from southern part of India. He's also a very good calligrapher from India. Other is calligraphers and scribe. Actually, I'm not naming because we are talking about traditional Islamic calligraphy. So, need for revival and steps taken. As far as Turkey is concerned, although the condition was different in other countries, Turkey witnessed the golden age of calligraphy under the Ottomans. And at first, the policy of Mustafa Kemal affected the Arabic script, but people like Hamidul Amdi did not let calligraphy die in Turkey. So, the biggest contribution of Turkey in the field of reviving calligraphy and bringing them to a common platform was the foundation of IRSIKA by Organization of Islamic Cooperation in 1980. So its establishment was proposed by the Republic of Turkey in Istanbul, and the main work done by them is to organize international Islamic calligraphy competition in every 3 to 4 years, in which calligraphers participated from the whole world. So this is the biggest contribution of Turkey in the contemporary times. As far as Iran is concerned, Iran was always the land of art, and Iran has never lost its artistic heritage. Even Nastaliq script by Mir Ali Tabrizi, it is considered the national art there. During the Qachar period, Muhammad Hussain Shirazi and the most important Muhammad Raza Kalhar and Ghulam Raza Isfahani emerged. After Mir Emad, Muhammad Raza Kalhar is that calligrapher who invented modern style in Nastaliq script. And after Emadul Kuttab, two Mir Khani brothers, they founded Anjuman Khushnawaisan, that is working for the promotion of calligraphy today in Iran. And in Iran, calligraphers such as Ghulam Hussain Amir Khani has become a legend today, and other contemporary calligraphers are Abbas Akhwan, Rasool Muradi, Muhammad Shahbazi, Ali Shirazi, Israfil Sherchi, Jalil Rasooli, Jawad Bakhtiyari. They are prominent, and they are shouldering this great responsibility of promoting and reviving this calligraphy not only in Iran but internationally. Now, Pakistan and Bangladesh. As Pakistan was a part of the Indian subcontinent before 1947, so the situation was same. After partition, some of the scribes also went to Pakistan, and there were some calligraphers who understood their weaknesses, and they tried to maintain international standard. Among them, they were the most prominent are Shafiquzzama, about whom I told you that he is a calligrapher who has calligraphed the verses of the Quran in Masjid Nabawi, and he is now in Medina. Rashid Bhatt, he is also a very important calligrapher from Pakistan, and he was also chosen as an international jury member for the international calligraphy competition held by IRSICA. Apart from him, Wasil Shahid is also an emerging calligrapher who is a follower of classical school. From Bangladesh, the Bangladeshi calligrapher have written in Arabic script, and the most prominent is Abdul Rahim and Mukhtar Mustafizur Rahman. So yes, steps taken in India, I've already discussed, but I would like to acknowledge the name of three big libraries of India who have contributed and who have done a great job in helping those people who try to revive Islamic calligraphy in India. And it is Khuda Bakhsh Public Oriented Library from Patna, Maulana Azad Library Aligarh, and Raza Library Rampur. So these three libraries have manuscripts, have classical manuscripts, and they have preserved it. And it has helped us and everybody who is trying to revive it, inshallah. NCPUL's role is also praiseworthy, though not very successful, but something is better than nothing. And I've already discussed the contribution of Muhammad Ehrad Hindi and how he managed to maintain contact with the calligraphers from Iran and Turkey and tried to revive calligraphy back in India. So yes, Abdul Latif Mendaki, and I've also told that he's from southern part of India and he's also working in the same field. Now I think it seems that it is not yet a lost art, and one day we will be inshallah successful in reviving it, although there are miles to go. Moreover, I also like to thank Spacewell Academy, Callithon, Dr. Ikram Sahab, Rabia Kulsoom ma'am, who have come forward, and all the other funding agencies and everybody who is behind this, and that they have taken step for its revival, which will bear fruit one day, inshallah. And I would also like to conclude my talk with the names of some legend calligraphers. So the legend calligraphers we have from the Muslim world is Ibn Muqla, Ibn al-Bawwab, Yaqut al-Mustasimi, Mir Ali Tabrizi, Mir Ali Harvi, Sultan Ali Mashhadi, Mir Emadul Hassani, Abdul Rashid Delami, Raza Kalhar, Hamidullah Amasi, Hafiz Usman, Asad Yasari, Hamidul Amdi, Muhammad Hussain Kashmiri, and Hafiz Nurullah. Even we have prominent women calligraphers also. They are Gohar Shad, who is the daughter of the Iranian legend Mir Emadul Hassani, who is the legend in Nastaliq script. Ghusina, Isma Ibrat Hanim, Umrao Begum, Zainab Sultan, Bibi Banafsha, Shireen, Zinat Qachar Dulu, Salma, Lado Begum, Zebun Nisa, Atina Faraji, Laila Muntaziri. And Atina Faraji and Laila Muntaziri are contemporary calligraphers from Iran. And contemporary calligraphers, we have a legend such as Ghulam Hussain Amir Khani, Abbas Akhwan, Rasool Muradi, Jalil Rasooli, Jawad Bakhtiyari, Shahbazi, Usman Taha from Saudi Arabia, Hassan Chilpi, Dawood Bektash, Pilchi Ghazvini, Shafiqul Zama, Rashid Bhatt, Muhammad Ihrar Hindi, M. Zakaria, M. Amzil, and Kochi Honda from Japan. So I think my talk would have helped the beginners as well as those who are interested in knowing about calligraphy and knowing about traditional Islamic calligraphy. I think my talk would have helped them and those for them who are interested in the field. Thank you.
Maram, for sharing such valuable details about the art of Arabic calligraphy right from the start to the present. It was surely very helpful for the beginners, and they would have, actually made a note of all the important points which you have actually put across. Thank you. Before we could move on to the video of the top 5 in the beginners category, let's have a quick recap of the top 5 in the professional and the intermediate category. Can we have the videos, please? Can we have the next category? Thank you. We will now have the video of the top 5 finalists for the beginners category. Can we have the video, please? Thank you. Mashallah, that's indeed incredibly beautiful. Congratulations to the top 5 in all 3 categories. I would now call upon Miss Maheen Khan to introduce to us our panel of judges. Over to you, Maheen.
Once it's my privilege to introduce to you all our renowned panel of judges. To start with, we have Mr. Fawad Koichi Honda. Sir has graduated from Tokyo University of Foreign Studies, Japan. He is the president of Arabic Calligraphy Association in Japan and an honorary member of National Calligraphers Association in Egypt. He has received his ijaza from the Turkish master calligrapher Hassan Salibi. The next judge on our panel is Master Muhammad Tarifi Kashti, who is very well known among the calligraphers in the Arab countries. Sir Kashti has authored and published a series of 20 volumes on Arabic calligraphy, and these books are available in the Holy Shrine of Imam Reza in Iran. Last but not the least, I would like to introduce Mr. Abdul Khayyum Silawat from Rajasthan, India. Mr. Khayyum is an architect by profession and a professional calligrapher. After settling with a career in architecture and interior design, he started calligraphy in 2017 in medium traditional Tuluth calligraphy script. I would now like to hand over the proceedings to Ms. Safia.
Thank you, Maheen. Before we make the final announcements of our winners, I would like to invite the founder of Spacewell, Mr. Ikram Ahmad Khan, to put before you a clear picture of the scrutiny process which our winners have undergone in order to validate the authenticity of their entries. Over to you, Mr. Ikram Ahmad Khan.
Assalamu alaikum. Mute for a minute. Hope you all can hear my voice. You see, right now Mahin had displayed the jury list of juries. So I am talking regarding the authentic, how we scrutinized and everything regarding this thing. All the rules for Callithon was made by the judges. The judgment what they have taken is solely their this thing, in which Callithon has got no क्या बोलते हैं Callithon is nowhere concerned about the this thing. All the judgments and everything is being taken directly by the judges. The winners have been selected by the judges. So they had given us top 5 winners to whom we had asked them to come on Zoom, and we took the live test, keeping the judges in the loop. And after selecting and after going those process, after scrutinizing and seeing that authentication or authentication of art, we have selected the top 3, which will be announced shortly. And Callithon is a platform which the main thing about Callithon is a platform where we want to bring calligraphers on a larger this thing and do the competition, where all the rules and everything will be made by the judges. The judgment will be given by the judges, and we play just a neutral role to connect the artist and the judges. So in selecting the calligraphers, selecting the winners, Callithon has got no role to play. It is all sole discretion of the judges. So Callithon will be an annual event, and this 2020 we have alhamdulillah completed with quite a great successful success, and we inshallah hope to come back again in 2021 with a larger audience and larger calligraphers on board, with more renowned speakers and renowned judges globally who will join Callithon inshallah in coming days. So I believe I have already told how the judgment and how everything is done. Now I would like to hand over to Ms. Safia to take further proceedings. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Ikram. Quickly to summarize what's been told by the organizer, I would like to inform all of you that the selection process has been carried out by the judges purely based on their judgment, and Callithon does not hold any say in it. I would like to request the organizers to kindly play a clip of the Zoom call which was held as part of the scrutiny. Can we have the Zoom call, please? Thank you for the video. Team Callithon would like to make an announcement that the selection of the winners was solely based on their artwork, where the judges had no idea about the country they belong to, their gender, or their names. So let's move on. Every participant is a winner in themselves. Team Spacewell appreciates and applauds the efforts put in by every participant in making this event a grand success. Alhamdulillah. Each entry received was excellent and amazing. MashaAllah. It is now, my dear brothers and sisters, the moment of glory has finally arrived. It is now time for us to unveil the winners of Callithon 2020. Beginning with the first set of awards in the beginners category, I would like to request Mrs. Tazayun Umar Ma'am, the founder of the NGO Humane Touch, to announce the winners for the beginners category. Welcome, ma'am.
The first prize in the beginners category goes to Wajihe Ali Mirzai, participant ID B0426 from Iran. Congratulations. The second prize goes to Nuha Abdul Nasser, participant ID B0268, country India. The third prize goes to Akram Erfanpur, participant ID B0021, country Iran. Congratulations to all of you.
To our winners. May Allah bless you with more success in the future, inshallah. Ameen. Moving on to the next set of awards in the intermediate category, I would like to call upon Mr. Ikram Ahmad Khan, the founder of Spacewell, to announce the winners. He shall be announcing the winners for the professional category as well. Mr. Ikram Ahmad Khan, can we have the winners for the intermediate category?
It's an honor to announce the winners. So in the intermediate category, the first prize go to Haider Anas, ID number I0039, country India. Congratulations, Mr. Anas. Second prize in the intermediate category goes to Fariba, ID number 10033, country Iran. Congratulations, Ms. Fariba. And third prize goes to Muhammad Uwais, participant ID I0070, country Pakistan. So once again, congratulations to all of three of you. Over to Ms. Safia.
Thank you, Mr. Ikram. Team Spacewell would like to extend a warm congratulations to all our winners. We shall now have the winners in the professional category. I would call upon Mr. Ikram Ahmad Khan to make the announcement, please.
Thank you once again for calling me for professional category as well. First prize in professional category goes to Mr. Yasin Hussain Dastagir, participant ID P0069, country India. Congratulations, Mr. Yasin Dastagir. Second prize goes to Mr. Muzaffar Bozorg Omed, participant ID P0047, country Iran. And third prize goes to Mr. Muhammad Ghausuddin, participant ID P0045, country India. Once again, congratulations to all the winners, especially in professional category. The whole Callithon team congratulates you for the winning, and over to you, Mr. Safia.
Thank you, Mr. Ikram Ahmad Khan. And thank you, Tazayun Umar ma'am, for making time to stay with us during this event. Your support is surely appreciated. Apart from the three category winners, we also have a special prize to be given away. That is the Organizers Award. Yes, you heard it right. There is a special prize. This is a special award being given to the participant for his excellence in the Nashtalik style of calligraphy. Before we make the announcement for the special award, I would like to now call upon Mr. Daris, a representative of Mr. Fateh Ali, the CEO of Collabdeen Singapore, to address the attendees. Over to you, Mr. Daris.
Yes. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome everyone. We are happy to have all of our participants here. So let me introduce my name. Okay, my name is Daris. I'm a representative from Collabdeen. So is it? Sorry, are you able to hear me? Because
yes, sir, you're audible.
Hello?
Hello? Yes,
yes.
sir, you are audible. Yes.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I cannot hear it. So yeah, glad to have our participant here. So my name is yes. Okay, my name is Daris. I would like to congratulate all our participants. Yeah, my name is Daris. I would like to giving some introductions about Collabdeen. So as you know, Collabdin is a technology apps in order to help all the community events or a business or even a competition like Callithon have. So let me go through some presentations. So okay, and so if you hear about our community, if you notice when we actually having an event, we will always announce to the community of Callithon that we were having some participant showing the results or something. So this is the way we're having the apps to keep the announcement on. Next, let's say during this COVID-19, you would like to join any webinars or probably some talks, but you might get confused for a lot of community that you are joining in. So Collabdins helps to get all information into one app. So you can go to your Islamic centers or you can go to a mosque. It will be quite a seamless things. And next, let's say you are a committee of the events, and somehow you are somehow you are planning to organize an event, but you're not sure what time you are planning to have. So using polls system in Collabdin, you can actually check whether you can actually check the best timing to create an event, or probably when the COVID that have done, and you can having a physical events. You can also having you can choose a meal. You can decide what meal do you plan to have. Okay, and then it's two-way conversation that we have. So it's really easy for us as a member to connect it with the community, or as well for each community to communicate. So Collabdin helps to integrate the apps easily. So as some of the participants noticed, when you actually done your arts, you can just submit it to the committee. Isn't it very seamless? So that's what Collabdins do. So Collabdins helps to share the documents easily, regardless if it is PDF or Excel or Words. So if you're having an event for your community and you would like to share your poem or some data, you can just share it with Collabdins through the chat. And podcasts. So I know the hype in the new generations. There's the lots of people love about podcasts. So in podcasts, you can actually hear about the announcement, or you can create a like weekly Friday Jum'ah khutbah and many more. So that's how podcasts are exist in Collabdin. So if you notice from this event as well, you can see that there's a YouTube channel that you can watch, or if you're in the community in Collabdin, you can just watch the YouTube video. It's easy and to be integrated, and you can also notify the members that you are starting your events. So the thing is, what we have in Collabdin, if you notice when you are doing a submission, there's several people who are actually helping to respond that, okay, your submission is already really exists. We already received your submission. So if you notice, the submission can be monitored by not only one people. So all admins and moderators, they can just reply to whatever chat that we have. So then we actually knows who is actually replying the chat. Isn't it simple? So if you are a community, if you are a community members, or you're actually a community in other parts of the world, we are always welcome you to become our future partners. So feel free to contact us. I'll go to the contact later. So yes. Okay, so to be specific for Callithon, right? We are really great to having Callithon as our partners. If you notice, even during the pandemic, Callithon actually having a creative idea to push it into global competitions. It's not only limited to only local in India, but we're also having a participant in Japan, Iran, or Saudi, and also even Singapore, UK, even US as well. So there's a lot of interactions happen around here. So if you notice the participant in, so if you notice that Brother Ikram mentioned, our partnership with Callithon and Spacewell Foundation will not be only this event, but it will be a long-term partnership that we are going to have. So be sure to keep in community in Collabdin. Try many communities that you have, and stay tuned for our artists, because this is our first start to working together to develop Arabic calligraphy into better response. If you notice, there's a lot of less 130,000 viewers with just 1 month, and also a lot of 2,000 reactions, a comment. There are many more. So from our Collabdin team, we are happy to give another prize. So if you are okay, so we will announce the top 3 is based on the numbers of views and number of comments. So if you notice, the apps, the tools that we are giving is a small tablet, because as a digital company, as a tech company, we do believe that Arabic calligraphy will transform, not only just using writing and papers, but we also having this Wacom to help you integrate your app, integrate your Arabic calligraphy into digital. So without further ado, we will announce the top 3. So starting from top 3, just to announce again that the prize will only be given to first ranking, although for the second and third rank, we will giving a certificate to announce that you are a most engaged influencer awarding. So for top 3, for the certificate awarding goes to Javeria Siddiqui. We will have, if you notice from the app, it's very beautiful arts. They are from beginner category, and it's about the ayah in Holy Quran. So I would like to congratulate Javeria for the third ranking. And the second rank will go to Afrin Ghazala. So the professional calligraphy, the arts was very awesome, and there's a description about Muhammad, our Prophet Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. And the first ranking, and those who get the winning prizes of this event, the tablet, will go to Shaita Sabur for intermediate level. So there are a lot of it's the design of Asmaul Husna. So I would like to congratulate Shahista and the other two who are getting a certificate. But nonetheless, all of you are actually having a good Arabic calligraphy. I'm really amazed on the art that you are having. So to close our things, so if you're a community member again, we're also having a 1,000 grant for all community that would like to have their apps into Collabdin. You can organize your event easily. You can announce your events, or you can giving a podcast. You can also doing many things and so this is the tools that's suitable for you to engage the event. It's not only for community, but it's also for business and influencer. So thank you so much for your time, and I know you are very excited to go from the beginning till the end. So yeah, we will announce for the winners. We will contact you by tomorrow on Monday for the pricing. And thank you, and we'll get back to you again.
I take this opportunity to thank Mr. Daris on behalf of Team Spacewell for addressing the attendees. Thank you very much. And a big thank you to Collabdin for being a part of this event, and hope to have many such collaborations in the future. Thank you, Collabdin Singapore. The price of success is hard work, dedication to the job at hand, and the determination that whether we win or lose, we have applied the best of ourselves to the task at hand. It's not about winning or losing, but love and respect. And every participant of Callithon 2020 has surely won our love and respect, and also the love and respect from the respectable judges. So here is the announcement of the special award being given to the participant for his excellence in the Nashtalik style of writing. And the winner is Mr. Naushad from India. Can we have the clipping, please? Congratulations, Mr. Naushad, and wishing you more success in the future, inshallah. And congratulations to all our winners and all our participants, because each of you is a winner in themselves. With this, we draw closer to the end of today's event. I would now request Ms. Rabia Kulsum, the co-founder of Spacewell, to take us through the last part for today. Over to you, Ms. Rabia.
Thank you, Ms. Safia, for putting up an amazing show. I take great honor in thanking each one of you who has been a part of today's event and helped to make it a grand success. Alhamdulillah, I am delighted to say that the vision this event was put forward with seems to be fulfilled with overwhelming response we received globally. Let me inform you that Callithon is a platform to promote calligraphy as an art. Hence, we will be coming up with events in English calligraphy in the year 2021. It is an annual event, so we will be back again with Arabic calligraphy in the year 2021 with a new event upholding the same vision. This is a wrap up from Team Spacewell. Thank you and hope to see you all next year again. Assalamu alaikum.